Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Today's video we are doing 3 fall projects and we're gonna hop right into them. So I grabbed these 3 pumpkin slash fall decor pieces from the Dollar Tree. I believe there was one more item, but I cannot remember what it was, if it was another pumpkin or if it was something else. I only grabbed these 3, and I knew right away that I really wanted to try and do a like faux concrete look on these, but I wanted to do all 3 of them just slightly different. They all had um, dimension and detail in them, but some of them were more pronounced than others, especially the acorn. So I did a coat of black chalk paint and I realized that I should have sprayed it first with clear coat so that the chalk paint would have had something better to stick to. So I did spray it with clear coat after I did the first coat of paint because some of the paint was pulling as I tried to do a second layer. So once I sprayed it, I was able to do a second coat of paint without having any issues. So I just wanted to give you guys that heads up. So save yourself some time and spray it first before you start painting. Once it was dry, then I am taking white chalk paint and I am going to dry brush on all 3 of them. So like I said, I wanted all 3 to look a little bit different, so I kind of just went with how the dry brushing was going on each item. So the acorn, the detail popped really nice. So I left it, as is. With this pumpkin and the other pumpkin, the details weren't as defined as the top of the acorn. So I started out lighter and then I went a little bit heavier. And this pumpkin, I definitely added more of the white chalk paint than less. And I just kind of, I had fun with all 3 of them. I started out really light with this one, dry brushing, and then I realized I didn't like how that looked, so I went a little bit heavier with the paint. And once that dried, I did add some of the beige chalk paint that you can see, and that chalk paint is actually pretty dry, or mine is pretty dry, so it was kind of thicker, which I actually liked because it added a little bit more texture to these pumpkins. So I did add that and I let it dry completely, and then I just sealed it with clear wax and let that dry. So I really like how the matted finish is on these. If I had sprayed them, even if I used a clear spray, it still would have had some type of shine to it. So I really like how the wax definitely keeps it that matte look. So while I was at Dollar Tree, I also grabbed these wood cutouts because I wanted to make a garland for a while. And you can hear my dog in the background. Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. So I have never made garland before that I can remember anyways. So this is a first one for me. So I wanted to go more neutral for this fall garland, and I am doing a faux stain on both sides of these wood leaves. So I am just watering down Waverly Antique Wax and I'm going to do both sides. I'm going to let that fully dry before I move on to the next step. So I'm going to be stamping onto these wood cutouts, and I really wanted to have a lighter background. So I am doing a dry brush of white chalk paint. I am trying to focus heavier in the middle of the leaves and kind of, tapering out on the sides. But this is also personal preference. You could definitely just do, full white on one side and leave the other side, stained. I do end up dry brushing white chalk paint on the other side as well. I don't go as heavy on the other side because I am only going to be stamping one side, but I thought that it looked a little bit more of like a finished product if I did do the, dry brushing on both sides. So I am using the Kindest Regards stamp from IOD, and I'm going to cover each leaf with the stamp. So I want to try and get as full coverage on the leaf as possible, but I'm not trying to get like the same, area of the stamp on each leaf. I do want it to look kind of random, not that you can really see from far away, with the cursive writing, but I am going for as full coverage on the leaf as possible. So I'm just using permanent ink for my ink. I believe it's the Stays On brand. I get it from the craft store, but I'm pretty sure Amazon carries it as well. And I am just adding it to all the leaves. And again, I'm only doing it to one side. I could have done it to both sides, but I decided not to. And I also decided that I wasn't going to add any extra wording on top of it. I was just going to leave it as is. I really like how neutral it looked. So again, this is, I'm pretty sure, my first time ever making a garland, and I wasn't really quite sure how to go about attaching these to my strand. So I may have, made it a little bit more complicated for myself. If you have tips and you make garland, definitely let me know in the comments if I overcomplicated this for myself or not. But I measured out the length of the twine that I wanted to use. This is going on my hutch in my front room. So I measured how long I wanted it to be, and then I just laid the leaves out, as evenly spaced as possible. And I do want to mention the garland does come, or like the wood packets from Dollar Tree do come with, twine, individual pieces of twine. So I just use those to, attach them to the twine that I'm going to be using for the length of my hutch. And then I realized that these were going to shift as, I laid them, hung them up. So I grabbed two different types of ribbon from the craft store, and I'm just going to tie them, both different ribbons, to the, so I'm connecting, or I'm tying the the garland strand to the actual twine so that it will stay in place, if that makes sense. I'm pretty sure you guys understand what I'm saying, or at least can see what I'm doing. So I just did that, and once that was done, I just hung it up on my hutch. So super quick and easy. This was the longest part for me, was trying to figure out how to properly attach this and get it hung up. So I really hope that you guys like this project. And again, if you have any tips for garland, please let me know in the comments. For our last fall project, I actually grabbed this from an estate sale not too long ago. I will link the video in the description if you didn't get a chance to see it. I knew right away when I saw this that I wanted to do something just on the top of this wood box. It's such a cool old box. I didn't really want to alter it too much, but the top definitely had seen better days, and I just wanted to give it a little bit of a makeover. So this rice paper I do get from a woman at the booth where I have my booth at the vintage store at Twin Rivers. This is probably one of the only papers that I can actually use without crinkling it up. I mean, I'm getting better with some napkins, but I really like this rice paper for decoupaging, and I've only done it a couple times, but I do like it. So the paper, I decided that because it was, it had that nice like sepia tone to it, and I really didn't want to make it any brighter by, painting the top portion of this box white. So I decided just to leave the box natural, and I'm just adding Mod Podge and I'm applying it in sections. And then I'm going to slowly, press down on the rice paper and then add another little strip of Mod Podge until I get it completely covered. And also, I let this dry before I added Mod Podge to the top of it. I don't know if you're supposed to add Mod Podge right away to the top or not, but I let it sit, I let it dry, and then I added the top layer of Mod Podge, and it worked so great. I had no wrinkles, I had no issues. So once that was fully dry, I did take sandpaper and I just, you know, went in a downward motion from the top of the box just to make sure that, the rim of the box was even and there was no extra, rice paper hanging over. And then even though it was technically sealed with Mod Podge, where I had sanded, you could see like white from the paper. So I just covered the entire top of it with some antique wax and it aged up the decoupage paper even more. I thought it looked really good. I love how it came out. So I hope you guys like this one as well. And with all that, I hope you did enjoy this video. I know it was a quicker video, but I do hope you enjoyed it. Next week's video is going to be a Halloween DIY video. I have already started working on the projects and I'm so excited to share these projects with you. I'm not a big Halloween person, but these crafts oh my gosh, I just had so much fun making them. So definitely make sure you stick around for next week's video. If you did like this one, please give it a thumbs up and please consider subscribing. I am so close to 10,000 subscribers, so if you aren't subscribed, I would really love it if you did help me get closer to 10,000. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.